name's Kevin J. Moore. The channel is of course Ptertain TV. That's the channel, and it's a good day to you all who are watching this channel at this time. Now, I'm returning to the story of the man who was arrested for saying "we love bacon." Laughable, really, but this is what happened on British soil, as I mentioned in my previous video regarding the subject. Now, I've recently learned that it's been released from prison. It was mentioned on a GB News report that it was released from prison. And I actually looked up the incident online again to see if there'd be any more information from or added to the searches on the search engine Google. So I went on there and have a look at this video. This is just showing you when I looked up on the Google search what came up on it when I put the search string "man arrested for saying we love bacon." Have a look at this clip. Like I say, I looked up online to see if anything was covered in the mainstream media. You can see by this video here showing me going through the search, and there's not much there. As you can see, I'm going through the search there, and there's only thing that's really coming up is the article written by Isabel Oakeshott. That one came up. There's not much else really regarding this incident, and nothing on the mainstream news anyway. So as you can see there was not much in the mainstream media regarding the incident, even though it's a big one really in my opinion, because it's the free speech issue, isn't it? But there was a news report dealing with this madness on Sky News. There was a report on Sky News, not Sky News UK as far as I'm aware, but Sky News Australia picked it up. So in Australia people are talking about this. So have a look at this short clip from Sky News Australia, see what they had to say regarding this incident.
In the UK, we've talked about the UK before. Well, have a look at what you can get arrested for chanting in Britain.
What's the offence? What's the offence?
And what's that?
Public order act.
And what's that?
You're not allowed to say you like bacon butties around here, lad.
Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so it's anything that might be perceived to be racially abusive.
Mate, listen, a full English breakfast, yeah, what does that consist of?
So apparently, you can't say,
I love bacon.
I love bacon. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, and at the risk of getting denied entry the next time I try and land at Heathrow, I love bacon too.
What absurdity to have the police force have those discussions with their citizens.
It's terrifying, but it is all political. It's Orwellian. It's like we were saying at the beginning of the show with Lucy Connolly. Britain has turned into this weird kind of Orwellian dystopian state where they will arrest you for the most ridiculous things.
So see, even the Australians, the Australian people are laughing at the UK. It's actually becoming embarrassing, isn't it, at this point? So embarrassing for us. Now, I've got more footage, again, from the incident itself, what took place. And it's got a bit extra on the end. And there's a bit more of a conversation between the officer and the person who was arrested. So let's have a look at that footage. Then we can discuss it further. Let's have a look at the footage.
Got these coming from out of town, they don't even fucking live here, and they're fucking coming down here, arguing for it. Sorry? Come on, massive nose in that. Awful side, that one. Where have yous come from? Blackburn? Absolute scum, mate, honestly.
Do you need subtitles for that camera, man?
Yeah.
We love bacon! honest, we're talking to all your fine. Well, because that like bacon.
How can you arrest him for saying he likes bacon?
It's just on the wanker side. Last to the guy.
He's going to give him the wanker side.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you getting this record? Please, thank you. Because I said I like bacon. I'm not resisting. I'm just trying to...
Andy, fucking bullshit, lad, just because you said you like bacon.
I like bacon, mate. I had a bacon.
It's all on camera.
Yeah. What's the offence? What's the offence?
Section 5.
And what's that?
Public order act.
And what's that?
You're not allowed to say you like bacon butties around here, lad.
Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so it's anything that might be perceived to be racially abusive.
Mate, listen. A full English breakfast, yeah? What does that consist of?
Well, I'm not discussing,
So what, hey?
I'm not discussing the
What about
offence.
the wanker side you did? You're in
Right,
the
that's
corner
fine, though.
here.
So,
All right, let's move on then.
aye, scum. Ben, take it easy.
Can't put him in, you have to hold him here until...
You'll be out in no time.
Wait here, just wait him here. Just stop there, stop.
Are you with the other cereal? Sorry.
No, I'm just with you.
Notice one of the protesters asked some who are not local to the area, "Where have you come from?" Absolute scum, honestly. He's not putting it in a politically correct way, but he's just putting it in a down-to-earth way, really. See, these ones have driven at nearly 50 miles from where they live, nearly 50 miles from their own homes, to support a project local people are unhappy with, hence the understandable frustration in the man's voice. People that have nothing to do with it, don't live in the area, they're trying to get involved and they're pushing for something that won't affect them in the slightest, but it will affect the locals. The locals are not happy with it, are they? They've got the reasons and they're not happy. Anyway, the man that was arrested or taken by the police, he wanted to find out why he was being detained. So he asked the police officer the question, didn't he? He asked the police officer why, and the police officer said, Section 5 Public Order Act. A dismayed onlooker says, Public Order Act. You're not allowed to say you like bacon butties round here, lad. That's what he said. That was a sarcastic comment, of course, wasn't it? But it shows the stupidity of the whole situation, doesn't it, really? The fact that the guy was having a little joke there saying you're not allowed to say I like bacon butties around here. But I thought it was that interesting that the young lad, he was polite, wasn't he? The young lad, in the way they sort of, when they were bringing him to the part where they were stood up, they were bringing him down to that part, where they were walking him down, the way they were frog marching him, they were sort of manhandling him like he was going to try and run or something. He was walking in a sort of manhandling him a little bit, waiting to push him a little bit. But anyway, when he was stood up there, he was very polite and he said to the officer, "Can you explain that to me, please?" Because as I say, the officer said, Public Order Act, Section 5. And he said, he was polite, the young man, he said, "Can you explain that to me, please?" And it's here really where we get to the crux of the matter, isn't it? The officer says anything that might be perceived to be racially abusive. Ah! So if you say, "We love bacon," the officer's linking that with being racially abusive. But it doesn't really make much sense, does it really? It doesn't hold water. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make any sense. The young lad, of course, because he knows it doesn't make sense, he actually says, he tries to reason with the officer. He says, "What does a full English breakfast consist of?" That's what the young lad says. Clearly, the lad's an intelligent young man, isn't he, as well? He's sharp man, he's a sharp lad, isn't he, really? And he's asking the police. But I notice he is polite when he's talking to the police, very polite. The policeman just says, well, I'm not discussing it, or something like that. He says, I'm not discussing, dismisses his question, really. And another one, another police officer, sound like another police officer says, what about the wanker sign you did, he said to him. And then the guy just said, that's fine, let's start. And the police officer says, let's move on then. So it's like, when they said about the racial abuse part, the officers talked about the racial abuse part, it didn't make sense really, because he said, we love bacon. So then you can tell the police it sort of didn't make sense. So then obviously the other guy came and he talked about the wanker part. So then he tried to say, get him on that. So then eventually he was moved on by the police, and it stood up with the police because they're waiting to take him into custody. So that is where we are now in the UK, as I said. Really, we're laughing stock around the world. And people they just can't believe where this country is going. It was actually mentioned as well by the American vice president, was talking about infringement on free speech, wasn't he? As well as mentioned it. Even talked about it to Keir Starmer when he went to visit them in the United States. So really, the UK now, you just got to be careful what you say, bite your tongue, as I say. You know, you really have to be careful now, because in a way, I think, you know, well, when I was young, when I remember I was a young lad back in the day, when I was a young lad, I grew up in a place called Hume, Moss Side, or that sort of area. Anyway, when I was in those places when we were growing up, we were told, right, one of the main things that kids were told is you got to tell the truth. I mean, you got to be truthful. Being truthful was good when I was young, but now you've just got to be careful what you say. You can't even tell the truth. In fact, the truth now to many people is like an insult. People don't like the truth anymore. People like to bend reality, don't they? They want to suit things to the way they think they should be rather than the way they actually are. So the system we live in now, it's changing. It's warped. People are trying to warp reality, aren't they? And they want you to go along for the ride, whether you like it or not. They bought you a ticket and they want you to take it. They want you to get on the ride along with them. That's what they want. You know, they don't want you to have your own ideas, your own thoughts. They want you to go along with whatever they push, the narrative that they have for you and your children. It's not just you, it's your children as well. You have to accept things that are not real, not reality. You have to bend to the will of the system that we live in. Unfortunately, it's changed. The world, as we know it, has changed. So now the truth is classed as an insult, isn't it? And people are fearful about saying what they really think because they know they could get that knock on the door from the police. Really, we're getting to the stage now where we're getting to the territory of the book I mentioned in my previous video, 1984, which talks about thought crime. This is where we're getting to now in the UK. Thought crime. Criminalizing people's thoughts. So you have to be careful if you're a UK citizen, because you could be next. In fact, I could be next, because if you ask questions, if you question the system, you will be in serious bother. That's why many people, they don't agree with a lot of things that are going on, but they don't say anything because they're fearful. They're very fearful. And that's the way the system is at the moment. That's the way life is if you live in the UK. So if you just keep your mouth shut and get on with your everyday life, you'll be okay. But raise your head above the parapet and you'll soon find that a big boot will come down very hard on you.